Welcome to TechNow, the web series for ServiceNow admins, builders, developers of all skill levels on a wide variety of topics. My name is Chuck Tomasi, and it is my pleasure to be here once again with you to show you the Roam features of the platform that are coming at you. This is some of the first Roam content, so before we get too far into this, I want to remind you that there's a good old safe harbor statement that most of what you'll see here will be in the general availability release later in Q3. But for now, we're showing you what's available today. This is early access time beginning with July 22nd. So please, according to our safe harbor statements, you're not supposed to make any purchasing decisions based on what you see here today. This is informative for developers. This is great to know for people that are considering upgrading what they can expect out of the platform. We will be constraining ourselves to just those core platform features and not getting into ITSM and ITOM and security and a whole bunch of other things. There's a lot of information on this, and it is also coming out later in Q3. But for those privileged individuals that happen to be here with us today, welcome aboard. As I mentioned, my name is Chuck Tomasi, Senior Developer Advocate at ServiceNow, been here since 2010. In some way, shape, or form, sharing information with you about the platform and integrations and automation and custom applications. Before that, I was a customer for a couple of years, and I was at that company for 22. And I'm halfway to that in ServiceNow, but please don't ask if I plan to work until my 70s. It's probably not going to happen. I have a lot of other hobbies and whatnot, but there's a lot of information to cover today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Craig Stepp for his introduction.
Hello, everybody. I'm Craig Stepp, and I'm a Senior Staff Enterprise-wide App Sys Developer. Yes, it's a mouthful. I work on cloud automation with our training and certifications group, and I handle putting together all the infrastructure you have for classes. When you take a class and you get an instance to do your labs, I'm the magic behind all that. So I've been here for quite a while, since 2014, and I'm planning on being here for a while, unless somebody says otherwise. So I'll turn it over to Jeremy.
Yeah, hey folks, my name is Jeremy Duncan, Platform Architect here at ServiceNow. I work on our Workflow Design Studio team. I do have 16 years experience in the IT space primarily, and about 10 years on the platform. So I was started in 2011, so this is definitely celebrating a decade here on this wonderful platform, ServiceNow. I do work across the enterprise, so whether it's federal, commercial, retail, it kind of touch all those areas and have experience in all those. Was recently dubbed ServiceNow Certified Master Architect. So if you have questions about that, reach out on LinkedIn. Let's chat about it. It's an awesome program, an awesome opportunity to learn from some super smart folks in this ecosystem. Just a quick fun fact about me: I am a reserve police officer in the city that I live in. I've been doing that for about a decade as well. So I get to write code, talk ServiceNow during the day, and then on the weekends when I have time, get to fight crime. So that's fun. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it back for our agenda today.
All right. In our agenda, we're going to take a look at all the new features in Roam and get a little high-level explanation about some of those, including App Engine, the Web UX, some developer tools, security, all that kind of good stuff. And we got plenty to go through, so we will certainly keep you entertained for the next hour. Now, speaking of being entertained, if you haven't listened to it already, you should check out the Breakpoint podcast. Some guy that we know actually hosts it. Actually, Chuck does, I think, if I remember right. Oh, yeah, it says it right there. And the most current episode, he is looking at what's hot in Roam, and we're not talking about the summer temperatures, with Adam Stout. So go check that out. I've listened to some other ones, other episodes, and they're really good and entertaining, and a lot of good information in there. So go subscribe to the Breakpoint podcast. You can find the link to that in the notes for this in the community. And with that, we will talk about CreatorCon. If you're not familiar with CreatorCon, CreatorCon is kind of like Knowledge, where we have a lot of training opportunities. However, these are a little more hands-on. You can connect with people, sharpen your skills, really dig in and get your hands dirty in some labs and learn some new stuff. So you can go and check that out. I know the date says May 11th through the 20th, but a lot of these are available on demand. So go register for those now, and you can see the link down below. But we will also, again, have this link in the notes for this in the community afterwards. So you don't have to worry about writing this down too much. And with that, I will turn it over back to Chuck for the Now platform Rome release features.
All right. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Jeremy. And again, if you've got questions online, ladies and gentlemen, please enter them into the Q&A panel. And Jeremy and Craig will be back there doing their best to answer the questions. If we've got some that we want to bring to the fore, we'll take a pause between each of these sections. You saw those in the agenda. And we'll do our best to stay on time and on track, make sure we get all the information to you in this. So welcome to Rome. It's new. It's out as of July 22nd, as I mentioned. Early access or early availability started. You can upgrade your PDIs to that. And the first thing I want to start with is our latest App Engine updates. And we'll start with App Engine Studio. This was originally released in March of 2021. And AES, or App Engine Studio, is targeted towards those citizen developers and low-code developers. AES is a fast, intuitive, low-code visual development environment that really empowers developers to collaborate and build applications that power your digital enterprise. Now, that's the overview in case you're new to this and you haven't heard of it before. We realize that some of you may be watching this as your very first ServiceNow video, so I want to make sure that we give you that background. But for those that have been using AES, two of the biggest things we've heard from you in that initial release of AES were that you were looking for collaboration and governance or control. And I am more than happy to say that available in our September 2021 release from the store, this new version of App Engine Studio has been enhanced in several ways. First, the collaboration allows developers to invite other developers into their application to a build, allowing them to work better together. That collaboration functionality is compatible with both AES and Dev Studio. So AES's support of delegated development allows or enables those non-admins to develop scoped applications and keeps developers, quote unquote, in their box with specific capabilities. This reduces the platform risk by ensuring developers can only access certain resources that they've been entitled to. Now, combined with the new collaboration functionality, admins have an effortless way to configure and apply standard sets of permissions for developers. Collaboration approvals provide admin insights and oversight into who's being added into an application. Admins can then approve or deny the request, and of course, admins can configure that approval request to their needs because, let's face it, not all requests required approval. You may have people that would just be a slowdown for them. So this approval ensures that admins really never lose visibility or control over that process, exactly what you asked for. And from there, admins can choose whether or not to deploy their application to test and, of course, eventually to production. Admins will also have more defined control over what developers can do in their applications, and they'll have more information to make faster and more confident decisions, which greatly accelerates the time to market. Now, overall, the new governance features help build trust with your admins who are moving these things along. This, Mobile App Builder is a new all-in-one experience for everything mobile. It replaces the mobile studio that was in Dev Studio as our next-gen evolution. This is built on the Now design system, aka Now Experience, aka Seismic. You may have heard some of those terms in the past. And Mobile App Builder provides developers of all skill levels with the ability to configure and build mobile apps for the mobile agent and now mobile clients. The standalone release of Mobile App Builder comes at no additional cost and will be available in the ServiceNow store. You see the little icon up there in the top that says store. That's what you can look for to know which one of these are stores. And there's a little dollar sign that tells you which ones cost money. So it'll be available in the store summer of 2021. That's as close as I can get right now. I don't have a specific release date. So while Mobile App Builder is expected to have native integration with App Engine Studio in September of 2021. It's important to point out, if you want to use Mobile App Builder with App Engine Studio, it requires the App Engine license, because App Engine Studio requires App Engine license. If you don't have App Engine Studio or the App Engine license, you can still use it as its own standalone thing. It's just not tied in. So, important distinction to point out. Do we have any questions about the App Engine stuff yet? Right, Jeremy?
No, other than somebody saying it's the best thing ever. So, Dan Stubblefield said that.
And I tend to, I would say that App Engine, just inherently, right, if you look at the UI changes, the citizen development investments that we've been making across the board, I think with Mobile Builder now, we're really putting citizen development at the forefront with low no-code apps, and I think that this gives you that single pane of glass to build those applications. So I would encourage you to check that out and see the power behind that, because if you're excited about building mobile apps in Studio, in your Dev Studio, imagine what it could be like making it easier with Mobile. I encourage you to do that.
All right.
Yeah, I think one of the other questions.
Yep.
One of the other questions we had about Mobile App Builder was, does it work with, previous apps, or does this a net new only?
It should work with previous apps. I don't know that there's been a change to the data model underneath, but we will follow up and get you information on that. We have had changes to the underlying data in the past, but typically when you go into Studio, it says, hey, this is an old thing, do you want to upgrade it? And it will take care of it for you there. So when you get there, if it's not compatible, it will upgrade. It will help you upgrade if you wish.
There may be a little
Good
trick
question.
you have to do. What you have to do with your applications within App Engine Studio, but we'll try to get you a specific just here shortly. So.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the web UX updates then. Just as a quick review, again for the newbies, Workspace gives you that modern all-in-one experience for agents to get their work done. And prior to our spring 2021 release, Quebec, the workspaces were really not all that configurable. There was a challenge there for people. So we introduced configurable workspaces in the Quebec release for App Engine and Customer Service Management, or CSM. Configurable Workspace provides customers the ability to change the layout and configure pages for their agents' use cases through the new UI builder. And it also addresses many requests we got from you regarding theming, configurability, and process automation. So let's take a look at a few of these up close. Whereas some of the buzzword people like to say, let's double click into that. I'm sorry.
Who says that?
About every third meeting I'm on.
Okay.
The viewport component, as seen here, allows page authors to add one or more viewports to display dynamic data on a single page. This component provides flexibility on how and where to display data without being limited to tabs. Another one we've got is the condition builder. This allows for advanced filtering capabilities so that users can find more relevant results. It gives you the ability to bind conditions to static or dynamic values, such as data resources, page properties, client state parameters, and more. This new condition builder also replaces hard coding of a condition to make it dynamic. For example, instead of saying active equals true, page builders can now set active equals at state dot client state parameter, where the client state parameter is essentially a variable. You can also bind to the output of other components or even data resources. Pretty cool stuff. So much smarter than the old iframed condition builder that we had before. Now, in support of the App Engine Studio governance we mentioned earlier, we've added delegated developer management to UI Builder. And of course, this allows the designated developers to only access experiences and edit pages where they've been given permission to do so. If they're not entitled to UI Builder on an app, then the related pages show up, of course, as read-only, much as it would with Studio or something else if you're not in the right scope. So also with the Rome release, you can now add CSS styles to any element in UI Builder. And I wanted to say element clearly there because you still need to be aware that editing CSS styles for a component doesn't change that internal visual properties of that component. You'll still need to use theming for that. So those of you who have done some styling and want to do this know what I'm talking about. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I know just enough about that to be dangerous. Also available, Playbook. Playbook is the visualization of process flows built with Process Automation Designer. This came out in Paris. We talked about them. We had a Breakpoint podcast about them with Yaron. I believe we've also got an upcoming Creator Toolbox, so watch for that. These are run, I use that kind of in quotes, run in the workspace and provide an easy and quick way to build repeatable processes in, frankly, a beautiful, beautiful modern experience. The new Playbook record generator allows an agent to input the initial data within the playbook before a record is created. And this is something that you've asked for, so we provided it. We're also, we have improved the integration between Playbook and UI Builder. And this was done to provide admins the ability to leverage UI Builder to communicate between Playbook and other elements in the application. Now, you've also have more options for adding actions at the Playbook, stage, and security level. Excuse me, stage and activity, not security. Activity level. This includes defaults and custom client declarative actions. Okay, this one's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but simply put, the Playbook preview in Rome improves the experience of building a playbook in Process Automation Designer because it provides you the means to preview a playbook while you're building it. Not much to be said there, very handy, easier to build and debug. The new activity view allows agents to focus on one activity at a time. And also with the Rome release, Playbook is moving to a store release, like many of our other platform features are doing, so that we can get more frequent updates. So you can get more frequent updates, not us. I mean, we can provide you with those updates, but ultimately you can get those without having to wait for that next major release every 6 months. We could do this every 3 months or every 1 month or get a patch up. You know what it's like.
Yeah, so does the configurable workspace in Service Portal versus native UI, or can you use it to create a workspace from Service Portal?
Service Portal and workspaces are two completely different technologies, so they're not going to work together or be configured as one. It would be like trying to do something in Jelly and have it show up on Workspace. It's totally different in the way that the data is handled, the way that the records that represent what you see on the screen are handled. Yeah, so if you're talking Service Portal is Service Portal. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, there is some work, future release, so back to the safe harbor statement. So in an upcoming release, we're looking at allowing components, so your seismic components, the things that you would see in the Now experience, to be displayed in your Service Portal framework. That's to help transition folks, but keep in mind your new workspace and portal build outs can be done in UI Builder, so there will be some transition there from Service Portal into the new Now experience. But we're making that flexible and easy for you so that you don't have to rush into doing that. So there will be some things that you'll be able to see there. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully that answers your question.
All right, let's get on with something I'm sure most of you are interested in: the tools that help you build new apps in App Engine, as well as extend and configure the functionality of those ServiceNow applications. So let's start out with 3 of the major improvements for developers. First, we've expanded support for source control for, get this, I believe this is the last leg of the stool, ServiceNow scoped plugins like CSM and HR. Because previously, if you remember, we've always supported custom scoped apps. We did ServiceNow store apps and global apps. And now with Rome, we can also use source control to configure apps based on ServiceNow scoped plugins. Now, this really really helps you move away from using update sets to using source control. Trust me, it's a lot more fun and easy and automated. Second, we've added support for headless browser testing in the automated test framework. Now, in the past, we couldn't fully automate browser-based testing. You could do all the server-based code you wanted, but when it came to testing those client-side things, couldn't do that. And of course, with the Rome improvements, we can automate the browser-based testing with ATF, headless testing, leveraging Docker. Third, we released this ServiceNow command line interface in the store release of April 2021. Some of you may remember this. We talked about it before. Before this, integrating with ServiceNow instance via the command line, it required some custom or one-off solutions. And the CLI supports several use cases, including building custom Now Experience components, which many of you have done, CRUD operations for interacting with records and table APIs, and of course, my favorite, it's easily extensible to support user-created commands. You got a REST API out there, you can create a command line for it to hit that endpoint. Now, I mentioned delegated development a bit earlier with the UI Builder, and here's a little bit more. Admins can now delegate the source control feature for a scoped app. Just flip a switch, and the designated user can use the source control menu in Dev Studio. Probably want to put some training on that, but you get the idea. You can also use delegated developer to delete an app, and like all delete access, use this one with great caution. You don't want to give everybody the ability to delete an app, but there may be some, your citizen developers, if there's a lone wolf out there building on their own, they go, that was wrong, I want to start over. Or this one's not really going to make it to production. You can give them that delete access. Dev Studio now supports the ability to create a Now experience. Getting started building configurable workspaces and more in Dev Studio, and then you can continue to work in UI Builder. Previously, this was a rather obscure and hackable solution. If you knew the right tables, we've made it much easier in Dev Studio. Question about the dev tools? I certainly hope there's some.
Somebody had a question that was specific to building a workspace outside of AES. So do you have to have App Engine Studio to create that workspace? And you kind of hinted to that in this last slide that you covered.
It's going to be much like the mobile builder. We've got the builder tools, and you can use those without an App Engine Studio integration or the App Engine license, but they won't be integrated into that. You won't have that easy what's next access. So consider the example of the slide that I just showed you, where you could build a UI builder from Dev Studio, or Studio as many people just call it, and then use UI Builder to go ahead and configure that. Previously, the only way to build a workspace, a configurable workspace from Quebec, was to create it in App Engine Studio, which of course means you have to have an App Engine license. So we're really helping people to use these tools if you don't have that license. And having that App Engine license enables a lot better citizen developer access. But we know that there's deeper developers who want to do this.
Yeah,
okay.
You can think, and I like to liken that to your guided app creator in Dev Studio, walking down that path of being guided. This is not only guided, but a single pane of glass to manage all of those things. So definitely a helper with App Engine Studio.
Exactly. All right. Next, some of my favorite stuff, the automation, Flow Designer and integration applications. Quick reminder, Flow Designer is our low-code way of automating your process. It's been out for several years. If you're not using it yet, you really should. We've got a Breakpoint episode coming up on August 4th with Jake Berman. So look forward to listening to that. You can find out more. In Rome, Flow Designer's enhancements focus on improved error handling. Beautiful thing. How we got this far without it, I don't know, but I'm really glad it's finally here. Because this functionality gives you the ability to build more robust workflows that handle errors intelligently instead of just failing. This will result in fewer errored flows, less emergency actions by admins, and smoother business workflows. I read that as less calls in the middle of the night saying something didn't run or something didn't finish or something ran 2 weeks ago and it got hung up. So it's available in actions and subflows and flows. And let me give you an example of where this is coming in handy. Let's say you write a REST API that returns a status 200. The payload doesn't parse properly. 200 is okay. For those of you that don't know REST APIs or HTTP protocols, it means I need something, and you said, yep, here's your something. But it may not be the payload that you want. It didn't parse properly. You can have the error handler take care of that rather than the flow just crashing, going, I don't know, I can't parse this. That includes things like notifications. So you don't get those emergency calls to chase down a flow that stopped unexpectedly because of some rogue data. You can be proactive. Some other nice updates to Flow Designer. There's new simple math and string transform functions. I can't tell you how many times I've had to write how to add two numbers together, but now you can get there. Performance of flow execution can be improved by turning off the logging of the execution details. Great stuff if you're doing debugging, troubleshooting, development, but you don't need them all the time and you don't need them in production. So you can get them to run faster if you turn off the debug and logging and those execution details. You can also further improve it. Well, we've improved it for you, the automatic variable cleaning. So variables that are stored in the table var under dictionary, after a month, they're gone instead of being kept indefinitely. Integration Hub. This is our easy way to handle data transfers between ServiceNow instance and other third-party systems and services. Integration Hub imports really simplify and accelerate the import of data into the instance. This is called Integration Hub imports. You may also hear it as Integration Hub ETL or export transform. I can't remember what it stands for at the moment, but we'll find that out. Think of these as import sets reimagined in the new design environment that consolidates several of those legacy forms into a single modern interface. And in Rome, Integration Hub imports currently only support data streams, which are very powerful, very handy. But remember, Integration Hub does require an Integration Hub license. Some other useful enhancements made to Integration Hub: notifications can tell you when you may be running into a licensing issue. Very nice. If you go to plop something down, there's official support for duplicate query parameters. That's what we're showing here. You could hack your way around this prior to Rome, but you don't need to do that anymore. It may look funny to say, why do you need the same query parameter? You may need to tell some REST endpoint that it's going to be field equals name, field equals category, field equals whatever, and you get those over and over. We've also added TLS 1.2 support for FIPS compliant, something our federal customers have been asking for. And speaking of security, that's our next section. So any questions around Flow Designer and Integration Hub?
By the way, a few people told you or wanted to tell you it was extract, transform, and load.
Thank you. That's why I love this crowd. They can help you out when your memory fails you.
Which happens all the time. The memory fail part.
Yes. Yes. Well, I have to write things down, keep them in Evernote, etc.
That's right.
Anything else about Flow Designer and Integration Hub in the Q&A?
Can error handling actions have access to error data pills?
Yes.
I would imagine so.
Security. Let's talk about some security enhancements in the Rome release. Next slide. Do the old-fashioned way. So, in Rome, you can use something called adaptive authentication to apply contextual instance-level security. Now, administrators can configure fast logins using a personal identity verification card, or PIV, or common access card, or CAC. Okay, so I know what PIV and CAC stand for because it's right in front of my face. You can also use multi-factor authentication, leveraging, of course, those hardware security keys and biometric authentication. And I believe, Jeremy, you had something to say about security here.
Yeah, just think about, multi-factor authentication obviously is that additional layer to, we recently in past releases added PIV and CAC card. That's great for our federal customers. You all know what that is. No more building custom solutions to do that. It's out of the box today. But when you think about, what we've come up with our adaptive authentication, it's tying all these things together to give the right person the right access at the right time. So you're getting multiple layers, whether it's IP address security, whether it's PIV and CAC for authentication. That adding that multi-factor layer is even expanding our security even further. So some organizations, especially PCI, retail organizations, require more so. It's a security standard, right? Multi-factor is something something you have, and that PIV CAC card is that something you have, and then a PIN might be something So it's adding that additional layer as we expand security on the platform. So.
All right, thank you. Another one I want to talk about is we got data export metrics. Now, let's face it, unauthorized exports of sensitive data is a significant data security risk. And I'm sure you've all heard stories about someone who's exported data to spreadsheet and the laptop got stolen. It got out of the organization unexpectedly. Now, if security admins are unable to monitor for abnormal or risky table export actions, of course, sensitive data can fall into the wrong hands and be used in a harmful way. In Rome, data export metrics provide security admins exfiltration alerts. No, I didn't make that word up. I like using it, though. Exfiltration alerts based on their own classification criteria. You can monitor that data export stuff on a dashboard in the Instance Security Center. Previously, orchestration, reporting, and application or script logic like business rules and workflow activities were impacted by platform encryption. Now, with platform encryption enhancements in Rome, this is no longer the case. In Rome, we're able to protect sensitive data with encryption without impacting the user experience. And as a reminder, platform encryption is chargeable. Note the dollar sign. All right, let's get on with the final section. Okay, I want to point out some updates to the Platform Foundation that you may be interested in. First, the system logs have a couple of new fields to help you analyze and debug a little bit quicker. The source field has always been there, always will be. You can see it on the inset on the left there. We've also added the source package and source application family fields to help you debug a little bit. I'm always doing show matching and filtering out various columns and field values. So this will help you get to the good stuff in the log that you need to get to. We're also making admins' lives a little easier. Thank goodness, we're all doing this stuff. You can schedule the installation of plugins and applications from within the instance. There's now a little schedule option in there. Up until now, of course, installations took place immediately. And what's more, admins can schedule multiple installations at once. Very handy if you want to do your plugins and they take an hour or so. Do it at 2 in the morning, wake up in the morning. Great, it worked. Additionally, we've got a new type of scan that's been introduced into instance scans called reactive scan. Reactive scan is a new scan type. This can be triggered based on a specific failure. So if you're perhaps doing an upgrade or promoting an update set, you can go into this table, set a trigger, and say, okay, if the upgrade fails, I want to run an instance scan. If the update set fails, I want to run an instance scan. And that will help lead you to the potential problem, identify the cause, and, of course, save you all kinds of headaches, assuming you've got your instance scan set up. So there's a little bit of investment you want to do here on the front end. Okay, one more thing. This is one that was buried deep down in our technical notes, but I thought it worth mentioning because it impacted one of my applications that I think you want to know about it. We want to start this out with a little scenario, a story. Let's say you're a university who has a staff, and they're also students taking courses. Or maybe you're a streaming content provider whose call center agents are also customers. Okay, you get the idea? Same instance, different personas. These people have multiple personas on your system. They might have multiple email addresses for work or home or whatever. Well, before Rome, the inbound email actions could not properly identify the same person who had multiple email addresses. The inbound rules only looked at the from address on the email and tried to match it with the email field on the sysuser table. And if it failed, it used guest as the default. Now, CSM brought this to the forefront because the CSM tables, for example, are all extended from sys users. You see in this little hierarchy diagram, there was still only one email address field, though. That was the core problem. So how we resolve this is the inbound email processor still starts with that same first step. It says, hey, I've got a from address, I've got an email on the sys user record, do these match? Same first step. If it fails, it doesn't default to guest right away. It goes to the CMN underscore notif underscore device table. That's I think they're also labeled as channels or something like that. But that's where you can have multiple notification devices or channels. It tries to match secondary, tertiary, etc. email addresses and says, now can I find this person? The CSM table structure, also seen here, has been changed to support this. So instead of all the tables extending directly from sysuser, only one table is extended, and all those additional fields are placed in persona-specific tables. So now, one person can have multiple email addresses. They can be categorized appropriately in these tables and identified correctly by the inbound email. And before somebody asks, I've already got a query out to our product team that said, does this also carry over from inbound email actions to flows triggered by inbound email? Don't have an answer on that. The answer is supposed to be yes, if we've done our work right. But I just want validation because we've got two ways to import and process email. One is through script and inbound email actions. The other is through Flow Designer. So I will follow up and let you know on that some way, shape, or form. Probably comments in the post on the community. So we have a poll for you before we continue on. Based on the categories that we had, what was your favorite Roam feature set from today's presentation? Is it App Engine? Was it the collaboration we've added to App Engine Studio? Was it Mobile Builder? That would be the first bullet item. Web UX, or things like the viewport, or the components that we've added to configurable workspaces. Was it the developer tool enhancements? Source code for the ServiceNow plugin so we can finally wrap everything into source control. I said source code before, source control. Was it part of workflows and integrations? One of the warm spots in my heart. Things we've added to Flow Designer, like error handling. Things we've added to Integration Hub, like the Integration Hub imports. Was it the security, support for PivCAC and whatnot? Was it the platform encryption or the platform foundation, things like multiple email addresses for people? While we're doing that, Craig, Jeremy, do we have any questions?
Well, I see a lot. I'm trying to find something to. Jeremy, if you see anything.
Health scan. How would you summarize the difference between your instance health scan and reactive?
Say that again, Jeremy. You guys were talking over each other.
Yeah, how's the reactive scan different from health scan?
Health scan is more or less an internal name or something you query, or you request through support. Okay. It is effectively instant scan. Those are the same base product. It's a series of definitions or checks that you run on an instance to say, hey, are we doing this? Is there something wrong here? Is there a potential issue there for performance or scalability or whatever? You can define your own checks on your own instance and run instant scan. The reactive scan is a trigger of how you can kick that off through instant scan, not through health scan. Health scan, of course, is done through support.servicenow.com. But instant scan is on your instance. You have full control of that. And now we've got a way to trigger it in case something goes wrong.
How about performance impact? Are we going to see anything with that, with reactive scan?
Shouldn't be. I don't know why. I mean, it's going to run like any other app or process. I've run it on production instances with lots of checks. And unless you're going through and querying billions of records, which you may want to do occasionally, but not on a 5-minute basis. An interesting thing that we had on, I believe it was Live Coding Happy Hour, was you can use Instant Scan not only to check your configuration things, like, am I using global business rules? Because I really shouldn't. Okay, that's an easy one that I often add. You can use it to check your data as well, such as look for users who don't have a manager. Because if you don't have a manager, your approvals will always automatically fall through as approved. So you want to check, you can do data consistency and sanity checks for that. All right, we've got 60% of the people. I am going to move on to the results. Let's see where people are really looking forward to stuff. Looks like almost half are workflows and integrations. Very interesting, with a good chunk of them on App Engine and the developer tool enhancements. Not quite what I would have predicted, but very interesting results as well. So let us go wrap it up. As you've seen here, there's a lot of great stuff in Rome. So what's next for you? Well, first, get your hands on an instance with Rome. The easiest way to do this is to upgrade your existing PDI or personal developer instance. If you don't have one, you can get one in minutes by going to developer.servicenow.com. Also, visit the release notes. Check those out on docs.servicenow.com and start exploring what you learned here today. If something piqued your interest, go look at it. Go reference it in the docs and find out, do I need to turn on a plugin to do this? A lot of the things, even the pay-for features, are available on personal developer instances. So you can activate those plugins and check these out to find out, are they right for my organization? Will my organization get value from that? Want to also have you mark your calendar. I don't have the official slide up here, but next month we will be talking about encryption. I have been talking to the gentleman in this picture, Pierre, for, what's it been, a couple of years, I think, that we wanted to talk about encryption. It's been a while. This one has been just kind of hanging out there in the weeds, but mark your calendars for August 31st. That's our TechNow Tuesday for August, 8 a.m. Pacific time, same time as always, same that channel. We're going to be demystifying those encryption options. Edge encryption, platform encryption, field encryption, password to, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of things. And we want to know what's right. Yeah. What's that?
I said encryption. We're going to do it all.
Yeah, no. Don't encrypt your encryption. We're going to help you understand what is the right use case for each one of these, because let's face it, security is a big thing. All right. Reference information for today. I already mentioned docs and developer. You can find all the other episodes of TechNow over at devlink.sn/TechNow. If you're watching live, of course, these are available in the resource panel. If you're not, here's the links. This is our library of good stuff, including Now Learning. If you want to get certified as a system administrator or application developer, you can do that. Are there any other questions we can answer? We've got about 5 or 6 minutes, so let's see what we can get in here today.
Actually, I did see somebody asked about answers to the questions, and I think you just said that, or one of y'all said that. When we post this episode in the community, we'll have all the answers to all the questions that came in through the chat.
Right. Okay, so here's another one from
go ahead.
Jenny. Yeah, so if I already have a custom app developed in Studio, can I switch to App Engine Studio? Will my app show up in AES? So I can answer that one real quick, Chuck, if that's okay. So the answer is yes, you can use App Engine Studio. Of course, if you have a license, right, you can use App Engine Studio to manage that application. There is a project file or a record that you have to create within App Engine Studio to tie a project to the person that will be managing that application. That's how you kind of keep track of who your developers are. So make sure that that record is created, and you can absolutely see that application within App Engine Studio.
Thanks, Jenny. Hope that helps. We'll have some details in there, but it is a table record entry that gets created by default when you create a new app in App Engine Studio. But since regular Studio doesn't care, it doesn't use that table. But if you put that in, I'm told in the future we're going to have that tighter integration and do that a little more automatically. With that, then, I thank everybody for attending. Look forward to seeing you next month for encryption. And don't forget to check out some of the other videos and podcasts that we have available for you. I will see everybody later. Thank you for watching. For Craig and Jeremy, everybody take care, be safe. Talk to you again soon.